a community in terms of that vision. They don't.
This is our goal-setting retreat, and we're doing a new format. We were more interactive this time. There was more discussion among the council people. We came up with the 5 major priorities that we have.
We're all on board that flooding, drainage, sea level rise is our #1 priority. Obviously, public safety, education, economic development, and lastly, of course, affordability. Now we have 11 people that unanimously agree on our priorities, and that's a good thing.
I really applaud you for doing this. It's been necessary for years.
Get rid of these backlogs and then take care of these people that every time it rains more than 5 minutes, they're fearing that, oh God, the worst is going to happen. So that's what has to take place.
There was a lot of interactions. Each person had an opportunity to speak, and it felt really team-oriented, so I really liked that.
The way we look at it, there's 6 key roles that city council members have to play. Strategic, policy, representation, community.
Well, I think it's important for us to do this because it helps us focus on top priorities, because a lot of times you get so down into the weeds that you miss kind of the strategic vision of where we want to go as a city. What do we want to look like over the next 10, 20, 30 years?
In the past, we've walked out with priorities, but we've never walked out with a detailed action plan of how we're going to implement that priority and be able to provide direction to the manager.
If we know it's going to flood, we shouldn't allow building to go there.
I really believe that good government, should never fear and engage an educated public. We should embrace it and bring in the public to the table. That's the way we should be doing business.
So what we're doing here today is having the public come in and to give us their input on how they think the city is going. So this is a good way to get input beyond the information that we've already given the facilitator.
We got an invitation from Councilman Aaron Rouse to come and talk about concerns and hopes for the city of Virginia Beach. And so they've invited different members of the community to come in and share their thoughts about the city that they'll then take to the retreat.
I think the data that's going to be accumulated, the feedback that the city's going to get will be very positive and useful to City Council, particularly ahead of the retreat.
We all have great ideas, but when we're all together and we incorporate so many other ideas, we have a greater product that we can offer.
We're doing a workshop inside to share ideas across generations, across different demographics, to really hear what the concerns are and the dreams are for the city.
I think it's transparency. I think one of the key things we can do is open up our city and allow our public to be more involved like we're doing tonight.
What I saw in there was an amazing diversity of our city. And they were sitting at the same table, sharing ideas with a free exchange of dialogue. And it was wonderful to hear different people with different ideas coming together.
But as a citizen coming to these types of events, it makes me feel good and feel included. It makes me feel like I have a voice with the government, and it makes me want to get more engaged and involved.
What is it that the people want? We represent the people. So it's important to always making sure that we're staying on track, that we are headed in the right direction, and that comes from the direction from the people.
But it's also important that the public know that we care enough to come together and try to work together to make things happen for them.
We put together people that may not have agreed on things, and they got to meet each other. They got to collaborate with each other and come up ideas. And it just gives us as a council a clearer direction going into the budget cycle to make sure that we address the priorities of the public. And I think by really strong engagement with the public, if they see we're working collaboratively, they're going to work collaboratively with us, and we're going to have a very, very good outcome.
I was working out in the rear section of Planet Fitness on the cables when I became extremely thirsty. I then left the cables to walk up towards the water fountain. I seen a huge commotion and people gathering around, sort of in a semicircle, half circle, when I noticed a gentleman laying face down in a puddle of blood.
When I looked back, Mr. Dablow was laying down face first. So I ran over. I didn't move him because I didn't know if his neck was injured. And then Officer Mans came over, and as we were there, he began to bleed from the mouth.
I fell face first. From my understanding, it was not pretty. My nose, my face, everything was covered in blood. And in my recovery, a lot of soreness through the ribs, the back. So what they did when, after Richard and Ben turned me over and Richard started CPR, Kendall came in and started the AED.
It feels great. I mean, knowing that all of my practice and my techniques were successful and, you know, I was able to help save somebody.
You know, people don't realize that in 1 second, their life can change. And we just happen to have the right chemistry of 3 people, probably strangers to each other, that came together and performed a miracle.
The support from everybody. So in a community this size, to see this kind of compassion and this kind of concern and this kind of caring, it's unreal.
Hey, Spike, let's see what's in the mail. Yes, they do love me. Oh no. Alexa, open VB Connect.
Welcome to VB Connect.
What are some jobs in information technology?
Job listing 1, systems analyst 2, job listing 2.
If I land one of these jobs,
Job
steak dinner
listing
for both
3,
of us.
Systems engineer 2, job listing 4, systems analyst 2.
Today we were given the opportunity as volunteers with the rescue squads to be certified as instructors in Stop the Bleed program.
Stop the Bleed is a program to train bystanders in various situations for how to stop bleeding. With active threats such as active shooter, various just weird accidents that happen, you know, falling the wrong way and a bone breaks through.
Results of a car accident, motorcycle accident, you know, a personal injury.
Certain situations require that bleeding to be stopped. The seconds count when you need to place a tourniquet, so placing a tourniquet on that extremity to stop that bleeding.
The more people that we can train and stop the bleed, we can save lives. Anybody can take this training.
The high school students, parents, teachers, I mean, anybody in your community that you could think of, we train them.
It's a matter of doing what's right at that time. People want to help people. It's in our nature.
Stop the bleed is so important just because if you don't stop that bleeding, you can die. Our goal is to literally save lives, be that first responders or a layperson. You don't care who comes to help you as long as someone's there to help. Get out your comfort zone, come take a class. Be it CPR, be it Stop the Bleed, volunteering with the city. Try something new. We're always willing to train you and we will build you up. You're not by yourself. We will help you throughout the process.
Hello and welcome to VB 411. I'm Ray Pearson-Ben filling in for Ms. Information this week. Today we're tackling 2 of our most popular snow-related questions. Why doesn't the city allow sledding down our biggest hill? And later, what's the scoop on snowplows? With every snowstorm in Virginia Beach, we hear a repeated question. Why can't we sled down Mount Trashmore? The main reason is safety. More specifically, how Mount Trashmore is situated that makes sledding dangerous. According to a study conducted by the University of Rochester, sleds can reach speeds up to 20 miles per hour. To borrow a phrase, speed has never harmed anyone. Suddenly becoming stationary does. Hitting an obstacle like a fence, tree, parked car, or even another person is going to cause some kind of injury. Here to tell us more about why the city decided sledding would not work on Mount Trashmore is Julie Braley from Parks and Recreation and Katie Snell from Emergency Medical Services. Thanks for joining me, ladies.
Happy to be here.
Yep. Well, I got a few Mount Trashmore questions for you, and I'm going to start with you, Julie. Now, Mount Trashmore is arguably the biggest hill we've got in the city of Virginia Beach. So what's the reason behind banning sledding?
Obviously, it always comes down to public safety. We want to prevent injuries. Anytime people are coming to visit the park, we want them to do it in the safest possible manner. And we don't want to encourage people to be driving in. And it's not just Virginia Beach residents. When we have a major snow emergency that'll be causing, schools to be closed, we're talking about tens of thousands of students that'll be out of school. So you've got kids that may be coming from Chesapeake, Portsmouth, Norfolk, or even across the bridge tunnels. And we don't want to encourage people to be on the road and come to the park. It's also also a lot of manpower involved in staffing the sledding areas. When we used to bring out equipment and have sheriff's department and park staff there, we really need those people to be out dealing with other emergencies, plowing, shoveling, and getting our facilities open so that we can fully reopen to the public.
Now, I was doing a little digging and a little research on my own, and I happened to run across a few stories, and it looks like, and correct me, it looks like that sledding to maybe some type of limited capacity was allowed at Mount Trashmore until 1996. So what happened at that point?
Really, it came down to safety. You know, there was a lot of injuries. We had a ton of people converging on the park. It was causing problems with parking and congestion. And when you've got people moving down the hill at that rate of speed with that many people, it's going to cause problems. So we just want to make sure that, you know, to mitigate those risks to people's bodily harm, and it's just too dangerous.
And Katie, you can tell us about that. And I know that you probably weren't around as a city employee at that time, but it's probably been chatted about amongst you and your colleagues. And back in '96, what type of injuries were they seeing? How bad did it really get?
I mean, it got pretty bad. You had kids sliding into fences, trees, cars, other kids, even sliding all the way across Edwin Drive. And you're looking at broken bones, head injuries, internal injuries, just about any type of injury you could think of, you can get sledding.
Yeah, so well, I do have one more question for you, but after hearing that, I'm wondering if I should even ask, but I'm going to because I know they want me to. So, is Parks and Rec even considering revisiting this idea if it's deemed that sledding can be made safe at Mount Trashmore?
Probably not. Again, just because of the liability, the risk to people's safety, the manpower that would be required, and the funds that would need to be available in order to staff it and properly set it up, it's just not a feasible thing to do at this time.
Okay, I get it. So thank you for sharing with us the 411, ladies.
You're welcome.
Another question we often hear before, during, and after a snowstorm is, why doesn't the city buy enough equipment to plow every neighborhood? As you might expect, it all comes down to money. To reach all 2,500 miles of neighborhood roads immediately following a storm, the city would have to purchase 300 additional trucks for about $150,000 each. That's $45 million just for the trucks. Add to that fuel, someone to drive them, and road treatment material. Plows can't do anything for less than 2 inches of accumulated snow and can't plow ice at all. It's entirely possible our hypothetical multi-million-dollar fleet of trucks would sit idle for an entire year or longer, since some years we get no snow at all. That's actually another reason the city has not invested in the equipment. It just hasn't made financial sense giving snowfall activity here. When it snows, the temperature usually gets above freezing 24 to 48 hours after a snowstorm and melts everything away. That said, when we do get snow, the city makes every effort to clear main roads to allow for safe winter driving conditions for emergency vehicles and public transportation to operate. The city has 35 snowplows that are charged with clearing 900 miles of main roads within 12 hours after snow stops falling, and secondary roads 24 hours after the storm. Additional help can be requested from outside contractors as necessary. Preventative measures take place as well. The city will pre-treat roads prior to a winter storm whenever possible with brine or an abrasive such as sand and salt. For more information about the city's snow removal plans, please visit www.vbgov.com/snow. There you'll find a document that details Public Works snow removal plan, along with maps of plowing routes and removal zones. And now, you're in the know. Thanks for joining us, and don't worry, Ms. Information will return. Be sure to check out our companion website at www.vbgov.com/VB411. We've got articles with some additional information so you can take a deeper dive into anything we've covered. In the meantime, do you have a question you'd like us to dig into? Send an email to misinfo@vbgov.com and we'll get you an answer. See you next time.
Mr. Clark was brought into us at Human Services by Crystal Rivera, who is one of the Department of Housing workers. She met with him and saw he had some further needs.
I did notice that he didn't have a shelter bed, and so we talked about him accessing the winter shelter. I was able to go back over to day services and talk with the staff over there and get him a permanent bed in winter shelter based on his vulnerability and his health.
So I kind of got permission to call her and just talked about what our concerns were, and she just kind of made the decision of what was best for him was to come and be reunited back with his family.
So many emotions going through my mind. I thank God that he's here. Thank you. Thank you for this program, being able to reach out to the ones who do want the help.
What I'm hoping for right now is just time with being welcome, being fitted to everything.
Big news, the steel beams are going up and they're going up very quickly at the Virginia Beach Sports Center construction site. You no longer have to rely on renderings to picture what it will be, but you could come down here and see it take shape for yourself. But if you happen to miss the first steel beams going in, don't you worry, we've got you covered. Let's take a look at how it all got started. 4 cranes weighing a whopping 250 tons each raise the steel beams and piece the elements together to form the beginnings of the multi-purpose courts area.
It's definitely a major milestone in construction. We have many more pieces like this going up over the next several months. This helps us get our column lines plumb and our roof lines plumb and setting our roof pitch.
So what does Rick mean by the word plumb? I'll explain while you watch our amazing time-lapse video. To plumb in construction means to make something perfectly vertical. Just like things that are horizontal must be level, columns, walls, and other uprights must be perfectly vertical to be sound. If vertical elements aren't exactly plumb, then the weight can trigger extra stress on a beam and could cause the building to crash down. Thanks to Rick and the crew, when the Sports Center doors open, everything will be spot on. And when is that?
The whole facility should be done October, November 2020.
Thanks for the update, Rick. More milestone moments are on the way. Get the very latest on construction developments and a look at that time-lapse video in its entirety by visiting the Virginia Beach Sports Center page at vbgov.com/sportscenter.
Today's event is a business series. It's called Ignite, and it's about connecting our small business owners, minority women, veteran-owned businesses with opportunities for contracts within our city.
There's a wealth of information that's being shared today from resources that are available at the state level through the Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity, as well as some programs that are more federally focused.
The things I'm hearing so far, I'm liking them. Now that I know about them, I'm going to do more and more research into them, educate myself further, and get me to where I need to be.
I'm an Army veteran, so I got my company certified veteran-owned and woman-owned. And so, you know, the government contracting world is competitive. You have to write proposals, you have to submit solicitations. So it's a very competitive, cutthroat kind of business you have to stay fresh on. And so opportunities like this allow that to happen.
Sometimes people say they don't know what's going on within the city. They don't know where to get resources from. So it's important to be here to find out the key people, programs, and networking opportunities that can help your business.
As they say, knowledge is power. The more you know, the better off you are. So I'm glad I came.
Our next business series will be June 22nd, so stay tuned for more information.
What an amazing thing to witness when you see students who are helping students learn and students helping others understand not the product of their learning, but the process of their learning.
The Peer Tutoring Center has become such a big focal point of here at Kellum. It's our second year having it here. This is the first year I've been in it. And we've been able to reach students in 9th grade and all the way up to 12th grade and pretty much every subject. Mainly math and science come, but it's been really awesome to be a part of it, especially just starting.
It's been really moving and really cool to see the experience and just kind of be able to live through that experience and get to move others, because even with the 14 other tutors and then you have the students that come in for tutoring as well, being able to just be friendly and compassionate and just be very invested in them and just be able to be like, if you need to come tutoring or just to have someone to talk to, you can always come. And it's really been, everybody's kind of become like a family. Instead of having that like, okay, we're 15 students, we're really just like 15 kids with the family, and Miss Gant's the kind of mom, I guess you could say.
There is tremendous power in giving ownership to our young people. The tutors, once they realize, this is my business. I have a business binder, I have a log of clients. I am in complete control of my clientele as far as building my own tutoring business. They are the ones who just ran with it, and they do treat this as their business, and this is their storefront.
It's really empowering. I really enjoy having ownership of the class, being able to work together to influence not only other people's learning, but their experience at Kellum has really been awesome.
One of the powerful moments for me in watching the tutors work with their clients is when the clients have those aha moments where maybe in the traditional model of a classroom environment, there was perhaps just a key piece that was missing that their peer is able to provide them.
It's been pretty awesome to be a part of it since the beginning. It's a way to help other people and to impact their lives and their grades, and it's just a really awesome way to help them in their study habits and just what they're learning in class.
My study block teacher had told me that I should go to the Peer Tutoring Center if I needed any help. So I was actually their first walk-in client last year, which is a really cool opportunity. And Caitlin Catano was my tutor, and she really helped me, and I just thought it would be a really cool opportunity in order to have that impact on someone.
It's a great time. We have helped so many people, and it's just really awesome to be involved and to help people and impact their lives and their grades.
I come to this school every morning with an eager anticipation of what is going to happen in the Peer Tutoring Center, what needs are going to be met today, because that's what our peer tutors do. They meet the needs of their peers at the school.